Let's just see if we can watch this on YouTube as well.
It's happening. We're definitely live right now.
We are live.
Hi, everyone.
So, hi, people, and welcome to, is it the 4th live stream?
I think so.
This is the 4th one that we've done, and like, I know we've been sending you a ton of notifications about this one, but we are just really excited. It was always one of our goals when we started this to have actual people in the network members come and talk to you guys about some of the things that they do. So we're really happy that this is the first one that we've ever done, and we think we got somebody who's really cool. So this is Disney. I've been calling you, Yonatan, a mix of artist and animator based on which one I felt like at the time, but I believe you are actually a Disney artist, Yonatan Tal. Yeah. So we've got who is at an airport and hanging in there. We really appreciate you calling us from the airport.
Yeah, for sure. You know, whatever it takes. Here, some airplanes.
Yeah.
Before we jump into questions,
yes.
Just because it's 3 right.
It's right now. Give them a bit of time.
Yeah. But Yonatan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? A brief, because we're gonna definitely get into some questions. But why don't you tell us a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. Brief bio. So I grew up in Israel. Spent the majority of my life in Israel. Went to the army for 3 years, and when I was discharged, I knew that I wanted to go to an animation school in the US specifically because I knew that I wanted to be integrated in the industry in the US because it's the biggest for narrative. And so I had to make a choice between 2 schools that I really wanted to go to, CalArts and Ringling. And I eventually ended up going to CalArts. And after 4 years, very quickly, like a month after graduation, I started at Disney TV. And today I am in the development department at Disney TV, which means developing concepts for new shows and working on pilots that potentially will become series if they're greenlit. So that's like my quick brief.
Cool.
Yeah. I actually didn't know that you were enlisted in the army.
Yeah. I had to. Israelis, that's what they do. But I also wanted to because you have to contribute to the country, and we all do that. And in the army, I was actually in the film unit, so I got to actually gain experience in animation in the army, which is like crazy and unheard of. But I got really lucky.
What kind of films do you make in the army?
Mostly instructional films. My unit was a part of the Air Force, and we basically made films that instructed pilots and people in the Air Force on how some operations are managed and little like technical stuff, but also we did like graphics for events and things that are more related to real world. It was really cool.
Wait, you still there, Yonatan?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. There was a little technical glitch.
Yeah, right again.
Gotcha.
So you kind of did the sort of videos I'm imagining, like, this is not the same thing at all, but like when you're in a plane and they give you the little video showing you how to like fasten your seatbelt and when your tray table and
Can you repeat? I'm sorry.
Information. Sorry?
Yeah, I think there is a little glitch. Can you repeat the question?
All right. Yeah. So I'm imagining like, so you created instructional videos, like when you get in a plane and there's an instructional video showing you how to fasten your seatbelt when the plane takes off.
Basically, but only like for actual pilots and what button should you press in this situation and etc. So it was actually like a really important job because you instruct pilots and their knowledge is their safety. So you can say I saved lives.
Cool. I've never done that in my job.
You never know, though. You never know.
All right. So I think we're going to transition into the questions. So we have some that we just really wanted to ask you, and then we've got some questions that network members submitted, and then of course you guys, if at any point you've got a question that you think of that you want to ask Yonatan, just stick it in the live chat, and we're keeping these down, and if we got time at the end, we will start taking them.
Sounds great.
The first one you touched on a little bit. Is so you said that you moved to the U.S. to study animation, and that you had the choice between CalArts and another college that I've forgotten already. But can you tell us more about what it was like to attend CalArts and what specifically attracted you to the character animation program?
Sure. Yeah. The reason why I chose CalArts was that when I visited there a year before I started, I just felt like there was something in the air that was like electric and crazy and very like uncertain in a way, just very unpredictable. I just couldn't know what that journey would be like for me because what CalArts does in my eyes is it takes you on like a personal journey. They never limit you to like, you know, doing one thing or like being a certain way with your art. And I love that approach because I work very like I know how to create in a more independent fashion, and they give you a lot of freedom, and I really love that. So my experience was great, and I think the one of the biggest benefits of that school is that they have all the other majors, all the other arts, and it was amazing collaborating with actors and musicians from the school on like films, and just being inspired by everything around you, like all the people around you, dancers. There's obscure, crazy departments like music tech when they make up new instruments and stuff like that. So it's just like a very inspiring environment, and you can never attend all the events, you can never attend all the live theater shows or the concerts. Like it's just an ongoing crazy like art explosion there, and I love that.
I never knew that they had dancers at CalArts.
Oh yeah. They're there for sure.
All right. Hi there, Yonatan. I'm Marley. This is a question from one of our network members. Her name is Hannah Sloan. And she says, I'm applying to CalArts later this year. I'm currently a junior in high school, and I'm really passionate about getting in since it's my dream college. Do you have any tips for building a strong portfolio to get into the character animation major? And was your time there worth it in the long run?
Yeah. So as far as I know, if things didn't change radically in the past 6 years, what they care about the most is that you have strong drawing skills, because it's the school and the program is mostly based on drawing skills, and they work traditionally. They do 2D animation for the most part. You can do CG animation, you can do stop motion, you can do anything you want, but they're very heavy-handed on like traditional mediums, and you'll first year you'll do 6 hours of live drawing every week, and you need to know how to draw well. I'd say. So it took me a few, I don't know, like a certain time period to um, get better at drawing, even more than I was, because I've been drawing like my whole life, but they want you to get into a certain level, and they mostly like to see observations from life and little scenes that you just observe around you. Um, and and I know they're really, they're very big on story, so they want to see. I know that you have to submit a sketchbook. I'm sorry. So you have to submit a sketchbook, and you have to have some like kind of like story moments. Sorry, choked on like.
You want some water? Take a break and get a drink.
talking about portfolios make me. No, yeah. So drawing skills and story, like little comics, in your sketchbook, it's something that they really appreciate, and they just want to see your original point of view. Um, so if you have like a crazy style or like something that looks very fresh, they love that. I think they go over so many portfolios every year, and there's always those like portfolios that are the same because people who saw other portfolios that got in before just decided to copy what they saw, and I don't think it's a good idea. I think they already know that, and they're not interested in just getting the same people or like the same sensibilities. They want to have a lot of diversity in style in every year.
All right.
And
Go ahead.
the question, was it worth it? Yes, it was very worth it. With that being said, the tuition is crazy, and it's only gotten worse with time. And there is a lot of like a lot of people are really mad at that fact, and they're right. They should do something about it. For now, it just seems like they're not, and for now, it's like 50 grand a year. When I was there, it was about like a little more than 40, and it's insane. I don't know how people can pay that kind of money. I didn't grow up in a rich family. I had to work really, really hard to get to a point where I can even start. So yes, it was worth it. I think they're they should definitely like do something about the tuition, but it's something to consider.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So you talked about before about how a lot of artists would like come in and like do similar type of work when applying to schools and things like that. That kind of leads into the whole question about this thing that was creating the YouTube space for a while, especially in the animation community, called CalArts style. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on that?
They're jealous. No, I think it's ridiculous because there is this kind of like generic like I don't know, like generic template that a lot of TV mostly characters follow. I don't think it was initiated at CalArts, and I don't think it ends at CalArts. I think CalArts just produces a lot of work every year. They make over 160 films every year. And every school has a certain sensibility or a certain like waves of style that um, every once in a while like you can see similarities, and it makes sense because students are influenced by their peers, and that happens. but to say that it's a CalArts style, I don't know if we should give all the credit to CalArts. And also, as I said, like I had in my year, I had such different people with such different sensibilities that like putting them all under the same umbrella would be just ridiculous because they were so different and they just did them. And yeah, you can make your own conspiracies. It's cute, but I don't believe in that.
Makes sense.
I kind of want to answer this question because
Yeah.
close into what he was talking about before. Dorkt, who is in our live chat right now, hi Dorkt, asked the question, for those who can't afford such high-end schools, do you have any suggestions for other ways to get one's foot in the door? Would pursuing online/independent work be a good alternative?
Yeah. I have many friends at work that didn't go to CalArts. And there's definitely a good chance you'll get a job without CalArts. You don't have to go to CalArts to get a job in the industry. I think that it is very hard and very just demanding to create your own frame. For me, like it was very nice to be able to be in a class and like have a schedule, have a program, and all those tools. But I also believe that you can develop on your own, and I know many people who took online classes, just observed like other work and like kind of like checked in with themselves and started doing freelance and work in smaller studios and just evolve like that. You don't have to start at Disney. um, before Disney, I worked at a lot of other studios doing commercials back in Israel, and that's how I got the money to get to college eventually. But you build a name for yourself, you have some online presence, and I feel like it's totally possible to do that. And there are very good online schools and physical classes because I like to be in a physical class to learn and to just see other people and how they do things. So yeah, it is harder, but it might not be as hard as getting $200,000.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's
Pretty
fair.
hard.
Yeah, that was a lot, buddy. So hi, Jonathan. My name is Thomas, and
Hi, Thomas.
so my question after you is, could you tell us about your? I have feeling I'm pronouncing this wrong.
Do you want me to? Or Marley
I
should
think I
do
got
that.
it. Oh, it's French.
It's the French one. About the French school.
Okay. Hey there again. So yeah, I wanted to. Could you tell us more about your experience at Goblins and how did you get in? What did you do? What did you do there? And for those in the chat who don't know what Goblins is, could you explain it?
Sure, you mean Gobelin?
Hey, I'm definitely not gonna pronounce it like that.
You have to do it with some sass because it's French. Goblins or Goblins is a school in Paris, and it's considered to be the best animation school in the world. I believe it is because their technical ability is just you can't compare it to anything, basically to any other school. In my opinion, like their skills are insane. They in the first place take only the best of the best to begin with. It's really hard to get in. It's hard to get into CalArts too, but their tests are insane. And so if you get in, you must be like a hot shot. My experience was amazing. I did an exchange program there on my third year of CalArts, and I went there for a semester for 6 months. And it was great because first I was exposed to their way of doing things. I worked in a group with five other guys from the school to create an intro for Annecy, which is an animation festival that takes place in France. Um, and so we got to collaborate, which was very interesting and new to me because I used to work on my own films, on my individual projects, and then I got to work in a group. And the other amazing thing about it was that it was in Paris, and Paris is just beautiful. And I was so inspired, and it was just like the best time of my life, honestly.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
recommend.
Okay, so no, back to me again. So I have a question here from one of our network members named VT, and they ask, what was the process towards joining Disney, and what can you expect when you work for a company like Disney? And if you could share with us like how the review process is like, or if there's any projects in particular that you're excited about working on that you could tell us about.
Sure. I got to Disney from the back door. I'll admit it. I basically like they scouted me because they watched one of my films and they liked my sensibility, and we were negotiating for like a little while. Not negotiating, but more like we kept in touch because it was my third year film, and so we waited for me to graduate, and we talked, and I realized that was the best fit for me because I really wanted to do development and being able to see the big picture and do some like idea generation and being a part of the very first part of the process because I really like that part. So it was the best fit for me. So I decided to join in. And what you should know when you work for a company like Disney, you should know that it's a big company. And you should know that, I don't know, like the brand is very strong and they have their specific sensibility that you should match. So I tend to, on my own, projects, like I tend to, I don't know, like create content that's more, its audience is more like my age, around my age, like, like to teens to 20s to 30s. And Disney is, 6 to 11. So you need to match that. So there's just a lot to keep in mind when you work for them. I mean, I'm talking about like what I'm doing, but when you just, when you board on a show, um, you get more, you get your script and you know what you're doing. So it's, I don't know, you're less concerned with like what the brand is or like 6 to 11 or stuff like that. That's specifically related to what I'm doing. Um, but yeah, like you should know that if you work for a big company, um, you're gonna be doing this one specific thing for them, and if you love it and if you love the brand, then that's the best. That's great. Keep doing it. Like people stay there for years and years, and there's like all the reasons to stay there. You get free tickets to Disneyland, for God's sake.
Wait, really?
Wow.
That's worth.
Yeah.
What was the last part of the question? Oh yeah.
It was what are the projects that you're working on, and if you can tell us anything about it. And also, Jake Kamona in the comments asked, "What's your favorite project that you've worked on so far?"
Oh, so I can't talk about most of the projects I've worked on because in development, we're touching the very first part, and like it takes sometimes 2 to 3 years before you see it on the screen. Um, so I can say that I worked on Amphibia, which is a show that's going to come out this summer. Very excited about it. It's very soon. And I boarded on the first episode of the show, so it was in a very, in a very like early stage, and it's gonna be such a nice show, and it looks amazing. So I'm very excited for everyone to see it. Also, I recently worked on the Monsters Inc. show that's gonna come out on the Disney Plus platform later. I've heard 2020. 2020 is when the show comes out. I think the streaming service is gonna come out later this year. But also a very exciting project.
Cool.
That's good.
Stay tuned, guys.
So many secrets.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have one right here from the comments. Saber Spark, who's one of our network members, he asked, what, if any, Disney films inspired you to pursue your career?
Oh yeah, that's very cliche of me to say, but Toy Story. Toy Story was like, I don't know, like I was like 6, so I don't see how like it made such a big influence on me, but I was obsessed with Looney Tunes before that. As a kid, like I was just insanely obsessed with Looney Tunes, and like one of my favorite films, because like it just stays with you, is Space Jam. And every time I say that, people like look at me very weird because it's not considered to be the greatest film, but I love it and I think it's great, and I can't wait for them to make the second one.
Don't talk.
You're not alone.
That was my favorite movie growing up.
Thanks, Jan.
It's an amazing movie. Excuse me. But Toy Story definitely like left an impact on me because it was so innovative in its storytelling, and just like it being the first CG film, like it just showed everyone that animation is not just one thing. And I believe that even today there is still a lot of place for innovation, which we don't necessarily see around us, but hopefully the right person will come along and open our eyes to new things. I think it kind of happened with Spider-Man, Spider-Verse. They kind of showed everyone that this style is not set in animation, and you can do so many so much, I don't know, so many cool things and explore visually, and it was just stunning, and I loved it. So I feel like if I grew up nowadays, I like Spider-Verse would have been my inspiration to get into animation.
Yeah, that definitely.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
No, Spider-Verse is such a really, really good movie.
I mean, if you want to. So this, yeah, go on.
Hi, Jonathan. I'm Catherine, and a network member asked, I was working at Disney.
Oh, that's actually not a network.
Oh, who was it?
It was just us.
Oh,
we wanted to know.
From Frederick. Sorry.
Hey.
Was working at Disney your goal when you started school, and if not, what was?
Again, sorry?
Was working at Disney your goal when you started school, and if not, what was your goal?
It wasn't. No. My goal when I first started, well, my goal was always to be a director in animation. When I started at school, like my plan was to get to Pixar because I really admired their work and I really wanted to be a part of it. So that was always like my goal studio. And I think I realized that, if I started at Pixar, it would have been in animation, because that's what I can do like every day, all day in animation, like as an animator specifically. That's what I mean. But then somewhere along the journey at CalArts, I realized I really loved being, capable to generate my own stories and working on my own ideas, and being able to, to kind of like have more say. So it's harder when you start in such a big studio, because the structure is set in that way that you need to gain a lot of experience before you can have a say on anything, obviously, which makes sense. And at Disney TV, they gave me an opportunity to be able to start from a place where you can influence the production a little more, and to be more versatile in like what I do every day. Because I can do designs one day and do like story the other day. So I really loved that aspect of that. Um, so I realized that was a better path for me eventually.
Cool. So this next question is from one of our network members, Sebastian G. And he says, I'm interested in working as a character designer. I love drawing characters, but I suck at other things like environments, shot compositions, etc. In your experience at Disney TV and also just with other people you know in the art and animation world, can a character designer get away with only drawing characters, or are they expected to have more versatility as artists?
You can. You're expected to, actually. In a bigger studio, um, you'll only do one thing. You'll only board or animate or do character designs. And so every position is a separate position. It doesn't Sometimes it happens when a character designer would like give an environment a shot, like if they really needed to. But for the most part, you would only do character designs if that's what you want. So you should just focus on that and build your the best character design portfolio, and a big studio will hire you for that. In a smaller studio, it's more common for a designer to do more than one thing, more than characters. So if you only want to do characters, go to a big studio. Is it easy to get into a big studio as a character designer? No. Is it possible? Yes, if you're good enough.
Makes sense, yeah.
This is essential information.
Yeah,
Vital.
I'm sure that was really useful for him to know by the other people.
What are your favorite places to go to for inspiration? Movies, shows, etc.
Usually, it depends on what I'm looking for. Uh, in my experience, my research always starts with some kind of a subject matter, a message, a general idea of what I want to explore. And so I would go places where I know I can, just, I don't know. Well, I'll give you an example. Like, I made 3 films that I'm proud of at CalArts. if you forget first year, because you should. Second year, I made a film in an aquarium, and so I went to San Francisco to the Golden Gate Park, where there is a national, or like the something like a natural museum something, and there is an amazing aquarium there where you like it's underground and everything is dark, and there is gigantic aquariums that basically like glow at you, and that mood kind of like inspired the visual development of the film. So that was like one approach, like going to a place where you can be inspired by the specific thing that you're looking for. Second would be like the music video I worked on. So I just watched a bunch of music videos, and all we need for that is the internet. And I looked at like avant-garde fashion and tried to be inspired by that for costumes. But mostly a lot of inspirational music videos. Then my last year was more about a general like concept, which was generational changes, which is very abstract. So it was hard to grasp, but I was mostly inspired by that book about Generation Y, and like what makes them unique, and like what are the differences between Generation Y and the generation before. And that was my base like research resource. So literally, like, I would go anywhere that supports the specific study that I'm doing. Other than that, you're I know you might be referring to things that you run into in life. So things that inspire me, um, I don't know, like I like just going out for a walk in the city and trying to like see what's around me, and like just talk to people, like talk to random, like, I don't know, Uber drivers, and just see other people's perspectives. Like, I'm trying to be as accessible and friendly as possible, so I attract those things. Um, and then in movies and such, I feel like I'm attracted by very out there, either like, stylistically out there. Scott Pilgrim is one of my favorite films. But also like musicals. A Star is Born. I was obsessed this year. And before that, La La Land. So cheesy and might not be like the best movies, but it makes you, it gives you the thrill. It makes you feel something, and I, yeah, I get inspired by that.
That's great. As you probably know too, I am also obsessed with A Star is Born. I got the special edition vinyl.
Hey.
Boy.
You got like a
Good job.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. How do your experiences as an immigrant and a member of the LGBTQIA community inspire your work?
Experiment is a very great word. I think I'm gonna start using it. Your immigrant experience is your experience. Um, it very much affected me. I think, coming here, I was about 22, and you already like think that you know who you are and that you're like fully formed. But moving to a different country is, it just changes everything for you. It puts you in situations that you don't expect, and you have to like reshape yourself, and learn a lot of new things about yourself, and communicating in a language that's not your own is like developing a whole new side of yourself, that's still you but different. And so, yeah, I think it affected me very much. I made a little film about it on my fourth year, just talking about like everything that you have to leave behind every time you fly from your hometown to your new home. Because I go back and forth, as I am now. I go back and forth at least twice a year. And as far as being in the LGBT community, same. I think most of my films are pretty gay. That like the any way you look at them, um, in a way it's intentional, and I like pushing LGBT themes because you know it's a responsibility I have. I feel and I want to. Um, but also I feel like you better talk about what you know, and to me, like telling those type of stories and having gay characters in my content just makes sense to me. And it just then again, it's what I know. It's like this is how my life looks like, and um, in my graduation film, my character was like vaguely gay. Like you see him hook up with a guy, but he might be bi. Um, but the film is not about it. I think that the important thing is that you have all sorts of content where like a character is gay, but it's not about it. And also a character is gay and you don't stereotype, because we've seen enough like stereotypical gay characters, and I feel like we're past that. I hope so. So yeah, it very much affects me, and I try to stay the most like honest and authentic when I create, so those things just come naturally.
That's great.
Thank you.
What do you think is the future of animation, if you have any ideas about it?
The future of animation? That's a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you
What's
think is
no?
the
Yeah,
future? Or.
yeah. I just wanted to make sure I heard right. What is the future of animation? Um, I hope that the future is animation is more and more in VR. I think that it's something that it's like getting there in baby steps, but I hope that in time there's gonna be more content that pushes boundaries and goes like hand in hand with like what new technologies are capable of. You can see more AR out there, and I think it's gonna be like the first wave is gonna be more AR. But I think there is such an amazing potential for VR content to tell stories in a way that we haven't seen before. So I'm very excited about that. And then as far as like, I don't think it's gonna replace, you know, film or TV. Like that's not the point. It should go hand in hand with it. But as far as film and TV, I am very excited about seeing what Netflix is coming up with as far as their animation department, because they're new and they're very open minded and they're gonna do things that are different. Um, I hope that Disney follows through and they're making great original content that we've never, seen from them before. Um, and the big studios, like we've seen like a lot of sequels coming our way in the past few years, and some of them are okay, but uh, but I'm excited to see the originals. I know that once they're done with the sequels, they're gonna create more originals, and I'm excited about that. The only thing I know for sure is that Disney has to stop with the live action remakes because it kills my brain.
Yeah, I agree. I'll
Like,
still see The Lion King, but
or everything else. But it's really interesting that you brought up like animation in VR. I just want to say, like, I started thinking about that personally. I'm like, that would be interesting, like living like inside like an animation or something. Who knows?
yeah.
But I have a question from our network member Eli McCarran, and he asked, Are there any kind of techniques in animation that are considered cheating?
Uh, um, no.
Well, I guess
Cheating. Do you know what he means by cheating though? What is cheating?
Yeah, if you're on here, sorry, let me reach over the table without asking. Grab this from you. So Eli, if you're on here, we'd love to get some kind of if you can get some clarification. What I think of when I think of cheating is like, I guess recycling the same movement over and over, or doing that thing that anime does, where it's like we have a shot of somebody's head and their mouth is doing this, and we're gonna do that for like 2 minutes because that's really cheap to do.
Right.
But I guess
Right.
it's
Well,
on.
you watch it, right?
Yes. So
I don't think that's cheating. I don't think that's cheating because, well, with anime, I know it comes from, from a financial standpoint and limitations. And in TV, many times you can't like have fully fleshed out animation, but you want to tell a story. So I watched, all the seasons of Dragon Ball Z, and nothing happens for nothing. Like, it can go for like 3 episodes, and they're just like on the ground, like just struggling or something. Like nothing happens, and I was fine with that as a kid. Like I accepted that. I watched, because eventually they're telling great stories. Yes, of course they have to like stretch a little bit. I don't think that's, for me. It's not cheating. What's cheating is like, I don't know, like when people repost other artists' work and then they claim it to be their own. That's the only thing I can think about. Uh, yeah.
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 Oh, I
like,
agree.
That's like stealing.
Yeah.
That's
Cheating.
because I mean animation is like, if it refers to originality, um, I think originality is I appreciate it, but also it's like things that aren't original are over. Like stories are not original anymore. Like nothing is really original. Everything is a construct. So striving to be super original is not a realistic goal. Like even Spider-Verse, yeah, it's like it's so groundbreaking in many ways, but you know it's not like it does something that's completely, it uses the same softwares, uses the same animation techniques, animation principles are the same. Like they're not inventing the wheel, they're just taking things further in, a few like arenas, but like same. It's not like nothing is cheating, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Evan, do you want to? I think like these two questions, kind of relating back to Disney, would be some good questions to ask now.
So, her Omation asked, "Are you writing scripts for the shows at Disney?"
I don't. I don't. Well, I'm working in development, and in development, they would only write scripts for the pilot episode that they're working on, and they have their own in-house writers to write those scripts, and they're professional writers. And for the shows themselves, they have a team of writers that comes up with premises, or the show creator comes up with premises, um, and then they flesh them out. So yeah, I don't do like writing per se. If I created my own show, maybe I would have written the script myself. Who knows?
Oh, is creating your own show something that you would want to do at Disney?
Maybe at some point.
We will see. Well, we'll look forward to it. So the next two questions are also network member write-ins, and they're also about Disney, so I think we'll just combine them. So Magnet asks what the animators are like at Disney. So obviously, like, we probably can't group them all together, but in general, are they more like serious, normal, cool peeps, or are they more like fun, wacky art school kids? I said, yep. And then Chaotic Canine Culture wants to know.
Just a second. I think I lost you. I think you.
Oh, yeah. I'll repeat it.
Okay.
So there's a bit of a lag.
Yeah.
So what the animators are like at Disney in general, like the people that you work with, and Chaotic Canine Culture wants to know what part of the job you would say that you enjoy the most.
The people at Disney are crazy. No, they're normal. I mean, animators are all generally just like more nerdy, because we just like sit at our tables, at our desks, and like draw all day, and we're busy in our own like little worlds. No, I don't think they're any different than like other people. Like maybe some of them are more like, you know, childlike, playful sometimes, but I don't. Yeah, I maybe also I don't know anything else, so maybe I'll change my mind after I work in a car insurance company. But what's my favorite part of the job? My favorite part of the job is in my specific position is like what I mentioned before, to be able to be versatile and design. Like I like that I can have more creative freedom because it's the first part of the pipeline, and we don't know how the characters look like. We don't know, what their world, like how what the rules of the world are. So it's all like up to you to like suggest ideas and develop the world with the creator. I like to think. I like to be able to come up with something out of nothing. And where I am, like, it really allows you to do that. So yeah, I think that's my favorite part.
Difficult part of the job.
I think we might have.
Yeah, wait, can you repeat that?
Oh, what's the most difficult part of the job?
What I just mentioned.
They're the same.
Enjoy one. Difficult.
I yeah, no, I think so. Because it's like I don't know, it's like a puzzle that you struggle to complete, but at the end, hopefully, it's satisfying. Because like you in development, like you try a bunch of different things, and you hope that something sticks. Um, it doesn't always happen, and also not all pilots become shows. Most pilots don't. So it's a lot of just like shooting in the air and like trying to do the best you can do for the assignment, but you can't like take things too hard when something just doesn't go through for any reason.
Yeah.
Very true.
Makes sense. So Marley, we have one more like pre-written question, but we also have a few, I think, network member questions we haven't answered yet.
Yeah, sure. So Dork in the comment wants to know, he's a little curious about how much creative control people have over their show concepts once it eventually reaches a larger writer's room.
If you mean like when you're a show creator and you hand your idea to a writer's room to write scripts, is that?
Yeah. So like once you pitch the show and it goes to series, like how much say does the person that pitched the show have over the eventual finished product?
If you're the EP, the executive producer, the creator, you have a lot of control. You first, like, you can choose your writers, and you collaborate with them very tightly, and every show does it differently. But some shows, like, you would start in a room with everyone, the creator and the writers, and everybody will try to come up with ideas, and the creator would be the one that puts, like, some of the ideas and the puzzle pieces together to create an idea for, like, a plot for an episode. So I'd say, like, throughout the whole pipeline, the creator has a lot of weight, and for the most part, it has, like, the final say before the executives of the studio.
I like Apanak's question.
Yeah,
here.
let's ask that.
Does the culture at Disney encourage skill development and education, or are you somewhat locked into a particular role on the team?
That's a good question. I was a part of a mentorship program within the studio, and so what they did there, they really encouraged people with the potential to grow, to learn from say I'm a background painter and I want to be an art director. So they would pair me up with a mentor, and who is an art director on the show currently, and we would, like, I would observe and have, check-ins with them and learn from them, and that's a way for me to grow. So I worked with a director and an EP, and I was able to learn a lot. So definitely, like, Disney is very strong when it comes to keeping talent inside, and, like, making sure that they feel good and that they develop and they feel like they're growing as artists. So yeah, I'd say yes, very much.
That's really good to hear, actually. That gives me warm, fuzzy feelings. Let's see. So I think we might have touched on this already, but VT Animation wants to know, so you said that you've got a little bit of creative freedom, like, as an artist, starting out at, like, the base, not the base, like, the first part of the process, basically. But do you know if Disney, like, allows its animators the same kind of creative freedom as far as how their own style is delivered, or is it very much like, this is the style of the show and we're going to do it this way?
You need to be able to fit the style of the show. I think animators are aware of that. If, say, there's going to be a big difference between working on a show that's more pushed and cartoony, like Hotel Transylvania, because it has this, like, very specific sensibility, and working on, like, I don't know, How to Train Your Dragon, which is very just, like, realistic and true through, like, real physics and animal movements and such. So I think animators, they have their preference usually, and they need to be aware, or, like, sometimes they're casted to work on projects that fit their sensibility. But some people like to do both, and they like to jump between, like, cartoony and realistic, and they love both, and it's nice to mix it up. It's nice to know both. It's nice to be able to pull off both styles. But yeah, when you work on a show, you definitely need to match the style of the show, because obviously it needs to feel consistent. With that said, every animator, when you work on a show, when you work on a shot, you can always put some of your ideas in it and suggest acting and some gestures and like things that happen to the director, and sometimes it goes through and it creates great moments.
That's cool. That also makes sense. You don't want a TV show with like 3 different styles going on at the same time.
Exactly.
That'd be really confusing.
Unless that's what you're going for.
Yeah. So we have, I think, time for like one more question.
I have a question.
Oh, Nick has a question.
Hi, Yonatan.
No.
No, Nick.
Right. What are some of the best ways? Because you said that Disney like have been watching you and your work for a while before you were even at their campus. So what are some strategies people can use to kind of get their work out there so people could possibly see it?
Nowadays, recruiters look everywhere. I know that the studio, like the people in the studio, the recruiters, like they constantly are checking Instagram, and they're like getting references from like people in the studio who are like, oh, you should check out this guy, or like see if they're available. Like it's 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 actually very important. Like if you put yourself out there on Instagram, I don't like it used to be Tumblr, but I think Tumblr is not with us anymore. Like I don't think that's happening that much anymore. I think Instagram is like the biggest right now. So yeah, that's like one thing. And the other thing is, like love it or hate it, but connections. You need to know people. You need to, get in touch with people who are working in the studios, because I have friends that I knew, like they worked in another studio, and I knew that they just freed up, and I really knew that Disney could benefit having them. So I told the recruiter right away. Yeah, it's putting your work out there and yourself out there, and just to be present. It's good to be in LA in that sense, because that's where, if you want to work for the big studios, like that's where they're located, and there's events and all that stuff. And I know it's like a lot of us are introverted, and it's hard to be like pushy that way, but even if you're introverted but your work is great, I think you'll get a job. And yeah, that's my 2 cents. I know it's like not it's never the easiest, but it happens.
Yeah, I actually I have a friend who moved to LA. She used to live here, and she's an animator, and she started off small, and now she's working for like the people who do BoJack Horseman. So it's definitely doable.
Really cool.
Yeah, and she didn't go to like
Yeah.
I think, well, no, she went to RISD, so that's a school, but she mostly like just she did her own animations, she did her own portfolio, and I think she entered a contest, and that's how she wound up doing what she's doing right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, studios don't care about where you went to school at. CalArts was great because it gets you exposure, and they become more aware of you. But when someone submits a great portfolio but they didn't go to school anywhere, like if you're a great artist, like they will want you. They want great quality and great skills and great people. So going back to the question of like, can you make it without going to an expensive school? Yeah, 100%. Just be great.
Good advice.
Be great. I mean, very true.
Be great.
Yeah. Well, it is now past 4 p.m. So I think you guys wanna wrap it up, or
yeah, where can people find you, follow you, especially like people? I think a lot of people in this live stream chat are inspired by you. So where can people like at least follow your good stuff, even if it's just your YouTube?
I've never said it before, but subscribe and comment. No. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel with all my work in it. I think it's like if you just look up my name, Yonatan Tal, you'll find it and all my films on YouTube. I'm also Yonatan Tal on Instagram, Facebook. I don't do like work on Facebook. But yeah, Vimeo, YouTube, Instagram, Tumblr, like, but yeah, that's where I am. Also, I just want to say one thing about like what we talked about before, because they say like be great, right? And I know it sounds like yeah, of course, like it's so easy, but I want to echo what Lady Gaga said in her Oscar speech. It's all hard work, and I really believe in that. And I feel like, you know, people don't get it that much. Like, yeah, I went to CalArts, but like I worked so fucking hard. Like, and everybody around me that's great worked really, really hard. And I'm keeping working really hard because that's the only thing that gets you to places, period. That's it.
agreed.
Word.
Well, we will. So we just shared Yonatan's YouTube channel in the live chat. But we can also. Is it possible for somebody to like share? Can you share Instagram links?
You could,
You
yeah.
could. All right, let's do that. I don't know. And this live stream will be available in public on the Channel Federator Network members YouTube channel for, as far as I'm concerned, the rest of time. So there we go. So yeah, you can always come back here, and then this link will work forever as well. So thank you very much, Yonatan.
Thank you so much.
This was really great. I had a ton of fun.
Was so much.
And I hope that everybody else and you also had a ton of fun. And yeah, we will see you guys for the next live stream.
Ooh, definitely.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.